Hey, this is Brad Cox from American Terror, and you're watching Loud TV.
So today, yeah, I'm with Brad Cox from a new band. It was a tremendous surprise for me, and something very fresh, in the music industry, especially in the metal scene. So yeah, can you tell us more about this new band with tremendous players, musicians, and what a wonderful new album.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me. Honestly, it's kind of a new thing and a surprise for us, also. um, we this band actually just kind of happened by accident. We I'm trying to think back really how it all first started, but given the past, me and Pat Valley, the guitar player in the band, have been playing in bands together for years. And over the last several years, I've just been more focused on my production work that I do with Mike Klink. Him and I have a publishing company together, and I do a lot of songwriting for artists. I do a lot of mixing and producing for bands, and so that kind of took over my life for a while and kind of kept me creating for myself. But I really wanted to go back to doing something for me that I didn't have handcuffs on or anything, and I could just write what I wanted to write. And my background originally was heavy metal. My all my first bands were metal. I grew up listening to metal, but somehow over the years I started writing pop music and doing a lot of stuff for like TV shows, films, and other pop artists and all kinds of stuff. And it's just kind of weird how it all fell into place. But some just wanted to go back to my roots. So, with that said, I had the idea of starting this new band with this new sound, and Rob Hammersmith from Skid Row was the third piece of the puzzle. Me and Pat and I, if you want to be technically correct, um, we there's this thing here in Atlanta that they would have these metal nights where they'd have like Judas Priest night, Iron Maiden night, Queen's Right night, stuff like that, where you everybody would cover a song and it would just be a kind of mixed match of members, and they kind of threw you together with different people. And both times we got put together with Rob Hammersmith, and we just really hit it off. We hit it off on stage and hit it off personally. So when I thought of this project, this was just supposed to be something fun for me to do. It was really never meant to become anything. It was just going to be a fun studio project, but I wanted people involved that I actually got along with and felt like I was on the same page with. And so I approached Rob. We had dinner and told him the idea of the project, and he said, "Hey, let's get in the studio. Let's give it a shot. Let's listen to the songs and see what happens." So from there, everything kind of started working, and we needed a bass player. And so part of my inspiration for the sound, believe it or not, was the early Sugar Ray records. Everybody thinks they were just a pop fluff band, but those first two records were ball busters. There was some cool shit on there,
Mhm.
and you know, the bass tones on those records just always, struck my ear. And so when I was thinking of a bass player, I was like, okay, who could we get? I want somebody that has the sound of like the guy from Sugar Ray. And I approached Mike Klink to see if he knew any bass players, and he was like, "Oh, I could probably talk to Slash's bass player. It might be something he's into. Send me some songs. We'll check it out." I sent him some songs, and he was just like, "Whoa, this is way too heavy. I don't know what to tell you." So I figured, why not? If I want a guy that sounds like the bass player from Sugar Ray, let's go get the bass player from Sugar Ray and see if he's interested. So I hunted him down. I believe it was on Facebook. Sent him a message. I flew out to California, met with him, and we hit it off. Sent him some tunes, and he was into it. So that's kind of how it all got created. So as the record was finishing, I felt like something else was missing, and I think I felt like we needed a DJ or just something that I love hip hop. I love that thing. Sugar Ray had a DJ too. I love Beastie Boys and old school hip hop. And I was like, man, it just might be cool to add something else to this element and a mix to it. So one of my other favorite records growing up was Funk Junkies Injected, and the lead singer for that does DJing work. And we had a mutual friend that put us in touch with each other. And from there, it clicked. He was into the project, he was into the songs, and we kind of added him as a last minute thing. And that's kind of how it all came together as far as the band members go.
Fantastic. And you are talking about, of course, your drummer from Skid Row. And when I discovered your first band, GRAYSON Manor,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really near from Skid Row style, I would say,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Exactly. And Grayson Manor, that was a really fun project. And it was weird because back when we were doing that, there was kind of that resurgence of 80s rock, with Buck Cherry, Beautiful Creatures, and bands like that. But we found ourselves touring and doing shows with Saliva, Hoobastank, a band on Island called Die Trying, that we did a bunch of shows with, and it was all this top 40 modern rock radio stuff, and found ourselves in Spin magazine and all this weird stuff that I just thought it was going to be an 80s thing, and it turned out to be a modern thing. And it was just weird how it all happened. But as things kept moving forward, I definitely started to feel like I was pigeonholed on the songs that I could write and the sound that I could write, and that it had to be 80s sounding. And I didn't like that feeling. And with this project, when I went into this, I was like, if every song sounds different, I don't fucking care. I just want to write what I want to write. And it just kind of ended up making this weird, unique sound that I guess nobody else is really doing. That's fused with punk and metal and new metal and just a little blend of everything. And if you went through my record collection, you'd probably go, "Oh, this shit makes sense, man." You know?
And you were talking about your discography, and you come from Atlanta,
hmm
the city of the melting pot, the city of one of my favorite band, Stoke Mojo.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, and yeah, something specific about Atlanta. The melting pot, the mixing culture, the as we can listen to your album.
The weird thing is with the Atlanta music scene, I mean, it is definitely a huge mix of everything, especially back in the early 2000s, but now it's prominently hip hop. And there's not really a big rock scene here anymore. It's very, very underground. There's still a few bands coming out of here, but I don't even equate my influences and my sound even coming, or being influenced by Atlanta at all. I was more influenced by New York hardcore and Southern California punk. Um, so I just never really got out in the Atlanta scene that much. My old band, Super Jack, that was managed by Billy Milano, from SOD. That was the most I was really in the Atlanta scene. And the guys that were in that band came from a band called Bullhead Clap, which always played with Stuck Mojo. And so the sound was not that far off from what American Terror is, just has a little bit more punk and hip hop influence than that band had. But that was the most I would say the scene influenced anything that I did. But as far as this band goes, Atlanta was not even on the radar. I don't think anything in the culture of Atlanta was part of the sound, I guess. I don't know. Never really thought about that question. That's
Okay.
not what I saw coming.
So you produced the album,
Yes.
you recorded everything,
Yep.
and was it long? And what was the role of Mike Klink, who worked with like bands like small bands, Guns N' Roses, very small band.
I mean, Mike and I work on lots of projects together. But this one he really was hands off on. I run mixes by him here and there, just for him to check out. But this was really, I kind of kept this whole thing a secret and kind of underground until it was pretty much done. So with the production of it all, he was kind of came in at the last minute just to listen to everything. And like I said, at that point he thought it was something great and kind of shopped it around. But I produced it, I mixed it, I wrote. I would say the majority of the songs myself. Pat Valley, the guitar player, stepped in and co-wrote a couple of songs on the album with me. But this was really kind of my baby that I just sat here in the studio and started created and pulled people in and as it kind of went along, I guess.
And the baby you are talking is very angry.
Yeah.
It's a really a punch in your face album, I would say.
Yes, yes. Doing this was cheaper than therapy week after week, right? No, I mean, really, it just comes from for years. I have, like I said, I've been doing pop music, and I had a solo thing that's kind of how Mike and I started working together. Was he produced my first solo EP, and that was very Americana, Tom Petty meets Bon Jovi. But once again, I started getting pigeonholed into a direction, and there was things I could and couldn't say, and places I could and couldn't go. And with this project, I didn't want that. I just wanted to do whatever I wanted to do, and writing all the pop music for other people, and I've done like Huggies diapers commercials, just weird random shit, and ABC Family, Disney stuff, and you have to watch everything you say and everything you do, and I guess a lot of stuff was bottled up that I was never allowed to get out in all these years of writing music, and so I said fuck it, and it all kind of came out at once, and just said everything that was on my mind with, you know, no regrets, I guess.
And this album is really angry lyrics that are not politically correct at all.
Yeah. No, and the part of that with this record was I'm so tired of everything being so safe. Music, to me, heavy metal, hip hop, and everything the reason people were into it in the beginning, I mean, hell, you can go back to the Beatles, even that, it was dangerous for that time. And people, I think the appeal of it was nothing was safe. You look at Korn, Marilyn Manson, bands like that when they started coming out. It was edgy, it was dangerous, and I think that's why people were into it. Guns N' Roses, he didn't give a fuck what he said, and I think that was part of the appeal. And somewhere along the lines, everybody was shooting for those radio singles and to try to get everybody to like them. And for once in my career, I didn't give a fuck if anybody liked it or not. Um, I was just going to write what I wanted to write and go back to what influenced me and speak what was on my mind. And it's never my intention to try to, piss anybody off, but I just wanted to be me for once and just get these feelings out. And I mean, a lot of these things have to deal with childhood shit and personal things that have happened in my life that I've never really spoken about. And I've never really been personal in my songs in the past too much. So this whole thing was just a new change for me. And like I said, it was never intended to be anything. It was just intended to be a cool project. And if people got into it, people got into it. And if not, that was okay too. So I'm just really pleasantly surprised to see that people are getting into it, and people are a little shocked by some of the lyrics and shocked by some of the things. But that's just if everybody just opened up and would be themselves. I mean, I know people that act like they don't cuss and they don't do whatever. They're sitting there by themselves every once in a while saying "fuck," "god damn it," cussing. They try to just play this perfect nice role, which that's just not human instinct. All of us are a little bit judgmental, all of us are a little bit angry, all of us stereotype, all of us, it's human nature. And that used to be okay in music, and for some reason it's not anymore. And I just, like I said, at this point in my career, I don't care if I have a radio hit, I don't care. um so I just wanted to take it a little bit more edgy and go back to, like I said, what music was doing, and didn't apologize for anything.
And you don't apologize for this song. She's a bitch.
Not at all. The funny thing about that song, that is actually the least personal song on the record. I will tell you a funny story about this song. um it was actually written in my sleep. you always hear of artists saying like, "Oh man, I dreamed this song and it happened." That's really what happened with this song. I had a dream, Mike and I, when Guns N' Roses was doing the whole reunion thing, there was talks about them doing another record. I didn't know if Mike would ever be involved in those records again, but part of me in the back of my mind is like, God, how awesome would it be if Mike produced the record and I got to engineer it with him or mix it or co-produce? Like that'd be huge. So that was on my mind for a while, and I had a dream one night that I was walking down the street with Mike, and we were kind of talking about it, and we bumped into Duff McKagan, and Duff was talking about new songs and Mike producing it, and he's like, yeah, he had his bass with him for some odd reason in the middle of the street, but he started playing this bass line, and that was kind of what the bass line was in the song. And I saw Slash sitting on like a bench in my dream, across the street, and I sat down with him, and he was like all bummed out, and I was like, dude, what's your problem? He's like, oh man, my fucking girl, it's just fucking bullshit. She's thrown me out, like just went on this whole rant, and I'm like, yeah, man, but I bet you couldn't live without her, right? And he's like, yeah, and she's a bitch. And I was like, man, it sounds like we're writing a song here. And we started like riffing back and forth song lyrics, and that's what the fucking song lyrics became. So when I woke up, I actually remembered everything. And so I wrote all the lyrics down. It was seriously 10 or 15 minutes. I had the whole song written, and it was hilarious because I called Mike, told him about the dream, and I'm like, so do I need to give Slash and Duff songwriting credits? How does this fucking work? I'm like, wouldn't it be weird if all of a sudden they put out a song before me that was the same fucking song? Like, it was just really weird. I know that's an odd story, but that's actually how that song was written. It was just a total dream. So
How many how many times how many times do you say fuck in the album?
I lost track. I don't even know. I'm sure my mom could tell you. She's probably keeping a journal. Yeah,
Yeah.
usually she's proud of all my projects and she's very supportive. She's always been supportive. And she's like, this one I just can't get behind. Why are you so angry? We were good parents. Like you were, just everything else in the world has pissed me off since once you let me fly away.
uh, the lyrics are angry, the music is angry, you are angry. Sometimes, it's I like the mix in your voice. It's sometimes it's very catchy, very melodic, like in the hard rock 80s. It could be Beastie Boys, like your hat. You could be and you could be very metal. It's
Right.
sometimes very harsh.
Yeah, I mean, and that comes from a lot of my influences. I mean, I loved a lot of stuff like Biohazard, Hatebreed, Corn, all that stuff growing up. Snot was a huge influence of mine. I loved that record. But then again, NWA, Beastie Boys, Ice Cube, Tupac, loved all that stuff. And then the 80s hair band, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Skid Row. And like I said earlier, I started writing a lot of pop music, and I started working with the guys that write for Katy Perry, Backstreet Boys, and all that kind of stuff. And so I really started developing a pop sensibility, and I really fell in love with the art of crafting a pop song and pop melodies. And that was a whole different world for me. Like I was doing a track for One Direction, and in Pro Tools it ended up being 162 tracks, and I was like, holy shit, like just layering and layering. You don't realize how in depth pop songs really go with harmonies and just layers. And you look at a rock song and it's like 60 tracks, and it's just a whole different thing. So I tried to combine the best of both worlds, even with this project, even for my love of pop, which you can kind of see in the length of the song titles. The songs, everything's 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. Um, I don't have it in me to be the metal guy that writes the 6-minute song that takes you
Yeah,
on
yeah,
60 freaking journeys somewhere. I lose focus at that point. So
yeah. We can remind that the album is 10 songs within 30 minutes. So yeah, the average song is 3 minutes.
yeah,
It's, yeah, straight,
to the
no
point.
bullshit.
Yeah, and it's funny. I wrote a ballad for this record, and we didn't put it on there because I just wanted this whole thing to just be straight balls to the wall. I didn't want to give you a break, and So I don't know if the ballad will ever come out. I have no clue because we've already finished, almost finished the second record, and it's even more pissy and angry than this record. Uh,
Really?
yes,
Wow.
it's way heavier. We're tuned lower, um, and yeah, it rips your face off. So I'm really excited about the next chapter. So we'll see when that comes out. But we've got five songs tracked and mixed. We've already gotten those mastered just for me to sit on. I wrote the sixth song the other day, and hoping within the next 2 weeks to have the rest of the album written. So we'll see.
Great. And the artwork is also very, it's, for me as a little French, it's pretty revolutionary, and it's pretty brutal artwork. uh, could be maybe the president of the United States of America in the first character, no?
It was kind of meant. It wasn't meant to be the president of the United States. It was more just meant to represent a combination of just politicians in general, honestly, that live and die by the American flag, but they do corrupt shit that puts them in jail and puts them behind bars, and they still hold on to their political stand and their political stance, and so they live and die by the American flag, which is why he's hung by the American flag. And if you look on the ground, he's holding, you know, there were it's meant where he's holding the Holy Bible and the crucifix when he hangs himself, and he drops it when he was hung. Um, but I also wanted to represent just the corruption and just everything that's, I don't want to say the corruption like there's really something going on. Who knows? I'm not any expert in anything, but just kind of with everything that was going on in the media with, just the cover ups of, people being killed in jail and saying that it's not suicide, that was really murder, and cops covering it up. So I just thought of how great would it be if, the guards are kind of proud of it, and proud of that this high end influence person, they don't care that somebody's dead. They just want the picture of, look, I'm around somebody famous and I'm part of somebody being dead, and that's famous. And when the child came into play, I originally had it where he was just holding the cell phone and taking a picture. But then a last minute addition, when I called the artist, I was like, you know what? I want him holding a teddy bear because I really want to show how society is kind of, even as a child, you're torn between what influence of society is having on you versus your normal innocence as a child. So the teddy bear represents that innocence of a child in him, but society has turned him into wanting to post a picture online of this, and the effect that it has on his life. So it's just that weird pull of just kind of everything that I feel like is a little off with society and priorities and some of the innocence that has kind of been lost, I guess.
Yeah. And I think we don't, it's maybe more in the hardcore scene, from Sick of It All to Biohazard bands, it's more, maybe more political, but everyone knows, especially also in France, in Europe, that lobbies are, you know, are dominating politicians,
Right, right.
and I think the same shit of it in your country now. Yeah.
Yep.
So new stuff for new lyrics. I mean,
Right,
on the
right. I know,
on
right?
on the next record. So next record will be out maybe next year, right?
I have no clue. I really have no clue. We don't know. The deal with EMP was a one album deal. So we don't know what outlet we're kind of going with on this next round. Um, like I said, this whole thing was never meant to take off or go anywhere, and it's always just now it's us flying by the seat of our pants and trying to figure everything out and how we want to go about it. The whole thing with EMP has been great because Dave Elfson and Tom and them, they're music lovers. I mean, Tom is like a 16-year-old kid when it comes to loving music. He'll send me pictures and text me pictures of the new vinyl he bought and stuff he's so excited about. And so it's really refreshing to be on a label that they're really excited about music and actually care. So that's been really cool and really helpful in this process. But I know that they're looking to maybe step away from doing the label as much. They don't really know where it's going, so I don't know where I'm going, so we don't know where it's gonna end up. But we're, like everything else, we're kind of taking it as it comes and make that decision when it's really time to make that decision. So